Hey y'all, it's so good to see you today. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so glad I have this opportunity to spend some time with you. Hmm. This weekend is Sandusky Pride. Um, it's a festival that's been going on for 5 years now in Sandusky, Ohio. It's relevant for me because I lived in Sandusky for 20 years before we moved to Tennessee. And I'm really looking forward to being there this weekend. It should be a lot of fun, and I might run into some folks I haven't seen for a really long time. Of course, these days they may not recognize me, but hey, we'll see what happens. Anyway, it'll be a blast. If you're in the Sandusky, Ohio area, or you're going out to Cedar Point this weekend, stop downtown and take note of all the festivities that are going on. It's the entire weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's concerts and shows and festival rides and all kinds of stuff happening. So I'm really excited to go out there this weekend. Thanks for stopping by. So glad that you're here, and I appreciate the time that you're spending. Um, it's it's a thrill for me to be able to get to chat with you every week, and so I'm going to ask some tough questions today. We're going to have an interesting conversation. Something that's been on my mind a lot. When do you avoid, hide, and run away? Isn't it usually when fear enters the picture somehow? It's a natural response, isn't it? We could stay safe and small or learn to live in the discomfort of fear and the expansiveness that comes with it. So, what are you afraid of the most? Taking an unpopular stand at work or at church, in your personal life, in a relationship? Are you afraid of what other people might think or say? Sometimes it's the people closest to us that we're the most afraid of. And many times our fear is driven by our desire to be loved and feel safe. If people really knew me, they might not like me or want to be with me. Or they'd think I'd lost my mind, which could be true anyway. Relationships are built on connection, and connection only happens when we vulnerably make ourselves known to other people. Let me say that again. Relationships are built on connection, and connection only happens when we vulnerably make ourselves known to other people. What comes up for you when you hear me say that? Does it resonate? Does fear well up in your body as you consider that truth? How does vulnerability feel? Is it scary or do you embrace it? How does it feel in your body? Where do you feel it in your body? Are you able to sit with it for a minute or two? In the waiting, that 60 to 90 seconds can feel like an eternity. I know, I know. The truth is, we're all faced with discomfort, and that's okay. Excuse me while I take a drink of water. You see, most of the time we're programmed to push away or immediately solve for it because we want to be free of it as quickly as possible. The discomfort, I mean. But what if it's okay to feel it, to acknowledge it, and to allow ourselves to move through it? picking it up and taking it with us like a best friend, or tucking it into our purse or back pocket or bra like we do our phones. See, it's a normal part of life. And there really isn't any reason to run or hide from it. Not the stuff we deal with every day. Of course, there are extreme cases where fear is literally trying to save your life. And even in a life-threatening circumstance, we definitely would want to run and avoid and hide and maybe even fight. The thing is, those kind of circumstances for us don't happen very often. Not in our society, anyway. More often than not, the circumstances for us that bring fear are the kinds of things that keep us stuck in indecision or spinning and buffering because we know what we want, but somehow we've convinced ourselves we don't know how to get there. How does that feel? I used to see this a lot in business, especially in a corporate environment. Someone recently asked my coach, Kristen Carter, how to find what your expertise is. And Kristen said it's the collision of what you're really, really good at, what you're passionate about, and what the world needs. I don't think I've ever heard a better explanation or definition. I used to have a lot of people ask me what their next career step should be. They joined our company with the desire to move up and move into other roles. And I got the distinct impression they wanted a checklist of things to do. Yet that list didn't exist. So much depended on them showing up and taking initiative, creating relationships, and all the other stuff that goes with that. See, Kristen's explanation is perfect, even in a career setting. It hits all the key things we want to be aware of when we're talking about where and how to invest our time and energy while leaving the door open to your own unique circumstances and creativity. As a business person, and even in a corporate environment, those who showed up and put the work in had opportunity after opportunity find them. Those that waited for the right answer or the right position found themselves waiting. Many times getting frustrated because their career wasn't moving as fast for them. Or not fast enough, anyway. There wasn't a set time frame, and most eventually found their path either with our company or with another company altogether. So we began this conversation talking about fear. The one fear I see time and again holding people back the most is fear of failure. This goes for careers, relationships, money, you name it. And here's the thing. If we're not really willing to risk failure, how do we grow? I don't know that we honestly can. When I was in my early 20s, I had an opportunity to buy a restaurant I was managing. I had many conversations with the owner, and at the last minute bailed on the deal. It was more than I felt I could do on my own. And this particular restaurant had a liquor license and a bar. And although I had been managing it for a while, I was convinced I couldn't be successful at it in the long term. See, the bar side of the business was a bit of a mystery to me. Could I have learned it? Sure. But honestly, I was much more comfortable with the food side. And I knew I had the knowledge to do that well. Instead, I got a job. And it totally sucked. It was the worst. I was working as a manager in training for a national finance company. See, my background in military pay and accounting with the Navy made me an ideal prospect. It was horrible. I soon learned that manager in training meant collections. And sitting at a desk all day, trying to collect past due debts was the worst. The last straw was a day I had to go pick up a camper from a family in the country. They were way past due on their loan, and the camper was the collateral. And since I was the only one in the office who had a car with a trailer hitch on it, I got sent out to pick it up. A few months later, I did buy a restaurant with a partner. He ran the front of the house, and I ran the back of the house. Great story I'd love to share with you sometime. We were young and had energy back then, in those days. Within 3 years, we had 3 restaurants and we were doing over $1 million in sales. We worked around the clock. It was the early 80s. Sure, there was risk. Yes, we could have gone broke out of the gate, no doubt. And we didn't. Why? Let's go back to what Kristen said. Expertise is the collision of what you're really, really good at, what you're passionate about, and what the world needs. Pete and I were really good at running family restaurants. We had a strong track record and lots of proof. We were passionate about providing good food and good service in a clean, comfortable environment for a fair price. And besides, who doesn't need a great place to eat? It was hard work. We had a third partner who bailed on us once he heard someone had been shot in the restaurant we were buying the year before. It wasn't a bad area, per se, and it wasn't necessarily the best. We definitely had our work cut out for us. We also didn't have a lot of capital to work with either. Pete and I borrowed $300 from our parents to get us started, and everything else was on paper, either from the seller, the landlord, or our vendors. We learned so much and made tons of mistakes and kept going. We showed up day after day after day. Where has fear shown up for you? Stopped you from taking that next step? My love, if you're part of the LGBTQIA community, I can guess how fear shows up and the impact it has in your life. I'm right there with you. The process of coming out feels fearful and daunting and doesn't ever seem to end. Even in my previous corporate role, there were times I continued to play small and felt like I wasn't enough. See, it didn't matter how wonderful my team was or how many people we promoted. There were times I didn't feel comfortable in who I am, or who I was. This is what put me on the path to discover what radical self-acceptance is and how I could get to that place in my own life. Am I perfect? Of course not. Not even close. Even my media assistant reminded me this morning I hadn't provided this video to her yet. Thanks for keeping me on track, Ikra. That's the point, right? I can sit with my imperfections and be okay. Sure, I have work to do, and I'll get there. Or I won't. And it doesn't mean I'm a bad person or somehow deficient. I used to feel bad because I never got a degree from a university. I worked with a lot of smart people who did, and I always admired their wisdom. And I've worked with people who had degrees that were clueless. The point is, you matter. You have value as a human living on this earth. And the value you have is not dictated by your credentials. It's inherent. It's real. It's deserved. If you want more from life, relationships, money, career, whatever, it's out there for you. Authentic living. Expertise is the collision of what you're really, really good at, what you're passionate about, and what the world needs. What are you really, really good at? What are you passionate about? What does the world need? And how can you apply this to your own life? Look, I can't answer those questions for you. I can walk with you as you look inside and begin to take the steps to get you there. Drop me a DM and let's chat. Or schedule a consult call and let's explore how figuring it out might be a good fit. One way or another, you're only a decision away. I'm thinking about y'all today. You are valued, you are loved, you matter. And remember, life's too short. Be kind. Do good. We'll talk soon.